Your FoE friends list has never been more important than it is right now. All right, this is where I would really love to blast What About Your Friends by TLC, but I know that would be a copyright issue, so I'm just going to start off with my regular intro jam. Here we go. Hello, this is Bardo coming at you with my third video. You know, I've been so overwhelmed by the response I've gotten from the first two videos. It's been so much fun, so thank you so much. And please, if you like what I'm doing here, the best way to let me know that is to go ahead and smash that subscribe button right down there in the lower right. So please do that now. Before we really get into this, this is the encouragement I need to keep cranking out more content for you. Okay, so this video, this is going to be we're going to be talking all about your friends list. And actually, there's so much content here. This is going to be a two-parter. There's just too much to fit into one. Part two of this, by the way, I'll talk about this more in the end, but what I'm going to talk about in part two is I'm going to cover what I call my 30 to 110 rule as it relates to your friends list. And we'll talk about that at the end. So, okay, there's four main things I want to go over in this video. First off, we're going to talk a little bit about the benefit of your friends. Why is this important to begin with? Why is it more important now than ever? Also, I'm going to go into a little bit of a deep dive on your current friends list and how to really to look into that and to see, what is going on with it. Third, I'm going to talk about how to find the active players that you need. These are the kind of players that you want on your list. How do you find them? How do you find them efficiently and quickly? And then finally, at the end, I'll just give some tips and some suggestions so that you can really take your game to another level and get the benefit of 140 active friends. So, the benefit of friends. Why is this such a big deal? If you've been playing for a while and you do not have a full, robust, and active friends list, then this game is going to be a lot harder for you. And, it's probably just not going to be as fun, in my opinion, but it's just harder when you don't have folks helping you out. What do you get from having friends? Well, they come and they visit your tavern. They sit in yours and you sit in theirs, and you get occasional tavern forge points and silver for that. This is probably the least important benefit. It's an obvious benefit, but it's probably least important because let's face it, what you get from the Friends Tavern, the things that you have as options to purchase, are not that great. So it's just not important to have a ton of tavern silver. Another reason to have, a robust friends list, these are people you like. Maybe it's just a matter of you like this person. They have an interesting personality. Maybe they've been in your, maybe they're a former guildmate and you know them in that way and you kind of want to keep them hanging around for that. And so some of these friends that you have may be purely relational. Like you're really not getting much of a benefit other than just the interaction you have with them. And that's fine. That's awesome. Perhaps the most important reason to have a robust friends list, and it's probably been this way for a long time, is just it gives you the ability to post on each other's great buildings, right? You have to be either friends or you have to be a guildmate to post on their great building. So we're talking 1.9 threads, we're talking swaps. For the longest time, to me, this was hands down the most important reason to have a full friends list. But actually, I think it's changing a little bit now because it is becoming so much more important to have friends who are aiding and polishing your buildings. They're cranking out event buildings that are far more reliant on being aided and polished. So what's an example of that? So a couple of examples. Actually, the latest event building, fully upgraded event building, is the flamingo habitat here. And look, so you can see there at the top, look at what you get. If this building gets motivated, polished, 50 goods, and then you get 2 different kinds of fragments for some really good buildings just by getting a polish on that. The previous event building, the majestic Winter Wonderland pyramid. Look at this. I mean, one aid there, and you get 20 forge points, 46. And this is for me. Now, obviously, people at different ages are going to get different benefits, but these are major, major benefits to getting this aided and polished. And there's also the Tower of Champions, for example. I mean, look, 400 guild goods to the treasury just from getting a polish on that. So these, see, these are some of the more recent buildings that are coming out, and you see they are really putting an emphasis on aiding those. At the same time, they're putting out all these tiny little buildings here. Look, these are a bunch of the blood lilies I got from the last event. And look, these are tiny little buildings, but you know, if you have them, you got to drop them in your city because they're so helpful. But each one of them can be aided and polished. So what that means is, even if you have quite a few friends who are doing this, there are a lot of buildings to be aided and polished. So, you know, if you don't have enough to polish them all, then, you know, you're going to end up having to use your own self-aid kits and your mass aid kits, and you just might not have those. So it's just become super, super important. Now, your friends list. Now, so for the last maybe 2-3 years, I have really worked to maintain my friends list between 135 and 140 people. I did a little research. I was just curious, like, I mean, that's a lot of friends. How many players in this game, you know, keep that many friends? I put a little poll on Reddit. I put something in on Discord, just trying to kind of gauge where people were at from that. I got 42 responses, and the average number of friends that from those 42 people, and that's a pretty small pool, but of those, about 120 is the average number on a friends list. And I'm thinking, man, that's honestly, like, that's more than I thought it would be. That is an indicator to me that maybe people do realize how important it is to have a lot of friends. And so maybe it's not that important to do this particular video, but I think there are a lot of players that, you know, have far less than that, and they, you know, they need to get that number up. So, you know, we're going to talk about that a little bit. So there are two main tools that I would recommend that you use to help you out with this. Now, the first one is FoE Scoreboard. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. That's actually a website, so that, you know, that's not a tool that you would download or an extension for Chrome or anything like that. That is just a website that you can go to very, very easily. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But the second one is, of course, FoE Helper. We sure do love our FoE Helper. It has a tool. So right down here, I'll kind of show you. When you open this up, and this will populate with my friends list, and you can see, okay, this shows all my friends. Now, oh wait, you guys, I almost forgot like a super critical step here. As I kind of took a look at what I'm seeing on the screen here, I'm realizing that I have not updated my data. I've not done like my data pool. I play this game usually on 3 different devices. I have my desktop, I have my laptop, and obviously I use my phone sometimes. And so since I am using 3 different devices, what happens is FoE Helper does not, you know, the one that I'm using on my desktop here at home actually is the one that I always kind of keep the data current. And so what I mean by that, if you go and you look in your town hall, right, and you go to news, and there's 2 things there, of course. So the event history. So here's how you know if your event history has been populated in your system. Okay, so when you go down here and you got to click through all of these and look down here at the bottom. Do you see the new events found? I'm going to have to click that until that is all the way through. And it's probably been a couple of days since I've done this. But what is happening right now is it is pulling the data and it is storing that on FoE Helper for me. And until I do that, my information is not up to date. So yeah, this is I'm going quite quite a ways back here. This is today is Saturday morning, and this is already back to Thursday. And I usually do this every 2 or 3 days. Okay, now you see where it says event history page previously updated. Okay, that's my indication that, okay, I've got this data. It has already pulled this, so I don't need to keep going and clicking through that. So what I've done is I've now populated, now my information is up to date, which incidentally, I will go ahead and point this out. You have to do the same thing with your great buildings here. You got to open up your great buildings. Look, it automatically opens up my my FoE helper tool for that. But in order to keep that populated, I've got to click through all of the great buildings that I've currently, that I'm contributing to. So once I've done that, and then once I go down here and open up my Forge Point investments, now it has populated everything that I just clicked through. But if I wouldn't have done that, then my information, if I would have just clicked this first, my information would not have been populated. So there's just a little side thing. But back to where we were with the friends list. So you have got to do that first. If you're using that, now you can see, now that I open this up, look, this is updated. You see a lot of 0 days, 0 day. Okay, right? Because the ones that I just pulled that data, now it's populating that. So we open this up, we take a look. Now, what is the first thing that I look at for this process? Well, I'm going to go over here and look, and I'm going to see, okay, I'm looking for red dots. I'm looking for red dots. I'm looking for orange dots. Red dots means that this player probably hasn't played much lately. Now, here's what's really great about it. If you click this little, this little link, it takes you to the FoE Scoreboard, which I had mentioned before. This is the second tool that we'll use here. But when you open this up, it goes directly to this player's page on FoE Scoreboard. And you can see this is why FoE Helper flagged them with a red, because they have not done anything basically since February 8th. If you look at the blue line shows you their points increases. The red line shows you their battles. So this might be an indication to you that this person might be someone that you would like to drop. So, okay, now let's go back and look at the list. So what I like about this is that you can sort, you can look for different things. What it is set on right now, this is set on motivating and polishing. And it has them right now in order of points. So you can see right now, this shows you everyone that is on my friends list, and it shows you, are they aiding my buildings? So you can kind of see where they're at with that. I love it. It shows you the last 6 or 7 events. And you can actually sort this. If you click on event 1, then it sorts by, okay, here's the frequency to which, the last time that someone, aided or motivated you. So you can also go up here to the list and you can check for things like, tavern. If you want to just see, okay, who is sitting in my tavern and how frequently is that happening? So you click that and you can see. I love how it's color coded, so you can see, okay, the folks in green, they're sitting in your tavern a lot. The ones in red, they're just really not doing it very consistently. So you can, if that's something you want to look for. I spend a lot of time sorting for GBs because, I post a lot on a lot of my friends' GBs, and it's very interesting to me to see which one of my friends are actually working at leveling their GBs. Now, that FoE Scoreboard website that I told you about, so let's go back there for just a minute. This has, first of all, if you've never been here before, all kinds of really, really cool things up here. You can go up here, you can click ages, for example, and it'll show you that here's the top 10 players in each age. So I may have mentioned in a previous video, for a long time I was feeling really good about myself because I was ranked #1 in the future era, but then I moved, or in progressive, but then when I moved up to future, I'm way down I'm like 60th in future now. But it is just kind of fun to kind of go in here and see this. You can also click guilds and get all kinds of cool information about any particular guild, including so for example, if we were to click Goodfellas and we see, okay, here's how Goodfellas is doing. Are they growing? Are they getting better? You can look at their members. You can even look at an activity calendar to show you which ones of their members are most active. And you can kind of see who in the guild is active and who is not. So that's just kind of a fun thing. This is just kind of a side thing. But the main thing, again, that I wanted to show you had to do with this particular tool, because it just gives you the opportunity to see, you know, how active any particular player is. Now, if you do not have FoE helper, then it's going to be harder for you. But there are some things that you can do. You can go down here to your friends list. And this takes so much more time, but you can come down here and if you click the name of each one of your friends, I'm sure you probably know this, but it shows you at the very bottom here, okay, when is the last time they were active? So that's one thing you can do. Now, obviously that takes a ton more time than using the FoE helper tool, but you could do that. Or you could, if there's someone on your list and you're like, you know what, I'm not sure what's going on with them, you could put their name into the FoE scoreboard here. You just go to players, you open up this search and you put their name in, and that's how you find them on that. So that is another way to do it. If you're a mobile player and you don't have FoE helper, okay, well, there's still some things you can do, and that's something that you could do. Now, so at this point, you've gone through your list, you've maybe identified some players that maybe you need to say goodbye to, and you can remove those. So you got a better sense of how active your friends population is now. Now you may need to find some new friends, so how do you do that? So what I would recommend that you do to find players that are active, again, if you go here to the FoE scoreboard, and you can start with anybody, just for for the sake of randomness here. Well, let's say you want to find players that are in the range of maybe close to 100 million points. Okay, so this person right here, I'm just picking them just randomly. You click on them and it kind of shows you. Again, all you got to do is look at the blue line, maybe look at the red line. The blue line is points, the red line is battles. So you can see this person is very active. Now, most of these folks that I just clicked on, they're in the top 10, so they're going to be active. So now this person right here, this is Skull. Skull, no points. No points in the last month, no battles. That is not an active player. But you can just click next player. You can just click through and get a feel for who is active in the game. And when you find people that you look at what they've done and how active they are, you can simply then go back into your Forge of Empires, pull up global here, pull up right here, put their name in, and there I am, and you can find them. And once you find them, if you would like to send them a message, obviously you just write them a message like this. What I usually do is, type out, just type out a friendly introduction, an invitation message to, to be friends, try to personalize it, make it friendly, maybe put their name, hey, hello, Shade 21, looking for some more active players. And send it, right? Now, some other things maybe to keep in mind, just some tips that you might be thinking about. When I go through this, I am looking for a particular type of player, right? I don't, my criteria isn't just that they're active. I want the right type of players for me to be on my friends list. I'll be real honest, I'm not necessarily looking for a lot of players that, for example, are on 1.9 threads, because if I'm putting forge points on their GBs, I don't want to be thinking about, gee, I need to make sure that I'm putting at the 1.9 level or something like that. Now, I might be looking for players that are more self-levelers, or maybe they do a lot of swaps with other players. Those might be the kind of players I'm looking for. But I'm not just looking for just anyone. Also, something that someone might be kind of looking for is, what grade buildings are they working on? You can check that when when you pull them up. Obviously, any player, when you look at their grade buildings, the buildings at the top, you can see, okay, these are the ones that are, getting the most activity. So if there are great buildings, maybe you need blueprints for. If they're up towards the top and they've been contributed to recently, then and this is an active player, then you're probably going to have a chance to get some blueprints on that. Friends can be a really great place to recruit for your guild, right? Because you kind of get to know them a little bit. You kind of have a chance to see what kind of player they are. You might develop some rapport, and it gets to the point where you would think, maybe this person would be really great for the guild. One really great way to utilize your friend list is for 1.9 threads. I mean, obviously you've got to be friends or you've got to be guildmates to post forge points on their buildings. So that's a great way to utilize your friends list. I can remember a time when I was on several different 1.9s. I always kept one spot open just in case someone needed someone to post on their building, and I was able to do it. But we weren't friends. Well, I usually kept, one spot open so that I could become friends with him quickly, post the forge points, and then, you can drop them immediately. But probably a good idea to keep that open if you're doing a lot of 1.9s. Your neighborhood can be a great place to find friends for your list. Here's what really stinks about it, though. And this is something I've noticed. So when you look at, again, if you go back and you look at your motivate and polish helper with FoE helper, well, there's 3 tabs. You've got your friends, you've got your guildmates, and then you've got your neighbors. And your neighbors can be a good place to find active players and players you would want on your list. But look, remember when I was talking before about the red and the orange dots? There are no red and orange dots. So you really, it's a lot harder to see what the activity level is for the players that are in your neighborhood. So, that maybe takes a little bit more research. And again, you can use FoE Scoreboard for that. Once you have your 140 friends in place, you're just, the tough part sometimes is getting there. Once you get to 140, then you just kind of need to maintain that. I mean, I definitely would recommend, like once a week, again, just pull open, your friends list here, see if there are players that, have kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and then you can kind of move on. But once, you have them in place, then it's just a matter of maintaining, maybe every week. It's pretty common for me to just drop 1 or 2, maybe 3, and then I just want to replace them. And I usually do that through the FoE Scoreboard. So, and then finally, just don't be a jerkball to your friends. Once you have a group of friends that are, they're helping you, you're helping them, everything's great, just try to cultivate those relationships. If you accidentally, if they're a 1.9 thread player and you drop some points on their GB and it wasn't, at the 1.9 level and they're kind of not happy about that, then fix it. Give them some extra forge points, if they've been a good friend to you and you want to continue to be friends with them, then cultivate that relationship. And then finally, if If you do decide it's time to drop someone, maybe shoot them a quick little message saying, "Hey, I noticed you haven't been on here for a while, and I try to keep my friends list active, so I'm going to go ahead and drop you for now." I often will put, "Hey, if you're going on vacation, if you're just, if something came up and you weren't able to play for a few days, but you still want to be friends, shoot me back a message and let's connect again." Thank you for hanging with me on this video. Again, this is the first of a two-parter. The second part, I will be talking about what I call the 30 to 110 approach to your friends list. I think it's that is something we need a whole show in itself for. So I hope you'll join me for that. I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you found some value in it, please hit like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. We'll see you next time.